Morning guys, Corey here from Sky's the Limit Car Care, and today we're going to talk about CQUARTZ SiC. Most of you are probably more familiar with CQUARTZ UK 3.0 than you are with SiC, since that's been around for many years now. But this is the newest kid on the block in the CQUARTZ family. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about why we call it SiC, and then we will get into a demonstration of it and some things to look out for, some tips and those sorts of things. So what is SiC? SiC stands for Silica Carbide. That is one of the elements that is inside of this ceramic coating. And SiC, or silica carbide, is commonly used in unwearable rocket engine parts, industrial furnaces, things where a really hard mineral that is needed that's really resistant to heat and stuff like that. So that's what silica carbide is. So where does CQUARTZ SiC differ from CQUARTZ UK? There's a few things. Number one, I guess the first thing that you would notice if you applied both of them to a car is that the CQUARTZ SiC has a lot more slickness to it on its own. So because of that, a lot of people like to do a coat of CQUARTZ UK and then another coat of CQUARTZ SiC on top of the UK. That way they get the slickness of the SiC and also the durability of both. So one of the questions we get is CQUARTZ SiC stronger than CQUARTZ UK? That depends on what you mean by stronger. Is it stronger against the UV, stronger against chemicals, stronger against just time? So which one's going to last longer? That is a difficult question because we haven't had CQUARTZ SiC on the market as long as we have had CQUARTZ UK on the market. So to answer the question, I would first say that as far as time goes, we don't know for sure which one's going to last longer right now. CARPRO rates CQUARTZ UK as lasting longer than CQUARTZ SiC. I believe that CQUARTZ SiC, from what we've seen, is going to last just as long as CQUARTZ UK does, but obviously we've only seen this out there in testing for a couple of years now, going on a couple of years, not even a full couple of years. But anyways, it's been super strong against everything that we've thrown at it. When it comes to chemicals, the CQUARTZ SiC seems to be stronger than the CQUARTZ UK at chemicals, especially when you layer them together. If you put the SiC on top, it seems to help reject the chemicals. As far as slickness goes, CQUARTZ SiC is a winner there. As far as resistance to the sun, UV protection, there I couldn't tell you for sure yet. So far both are holding up really well against that. UK again has done really well down here in Florida. The 3.0 version has done really well down in Florida. And so has the SiC so far, but again, we've only got 2 years in, although it has already surpassed what its initial estimates were for durability. When we talk about durability of coatings, including CQUARTZ UK, CQUARTZ SiC, or any other, whether it be professional or consumer or prosumer or any coating out there, one thing you want to remember is when a lot of people will rank things in years because it's much easier. Everybody wants to know, well, how many years will that last? And that's always an average. So CARPRO always errs on the side of caution. They always give you a worst case estimate, and that way people are always happy when it ends up lasting a lot longer. So when somebody tells you this coating's a 2-year coating, this coating's a 3-year coating, this coating's a 7-year coating, a lot of that really doesn't mean much. The biggest thing that's going to have an impact on how long a coating lasts is, number one, of course, that it is a true quality ceramic coating, and then number two is how it's cared for. So if it's a true quality ceramic coating, then it's going to last for years, for more than 2 years, unless it's really horribly abused. As far as if it's going to last 10 years or longer, that depends on if it's sitting in your garage and not getting driven and not having tar and sap and bugs left on it and not getting washed, all those different things. If it's being really well cared for and it's just sitting in the garage and there's nothing getting away from it, then it's going to last for many, many years. If it's never washed and just sits in the sun and lets stuff build up on it, then that's going to eat away at the coating and it's not going to last very long at all. So, those are things to keep in mind when you look at the durability of coatings. How you care for it is a huge factor. So preparation of CQUARTZ SiC. As is the same with CQUARTZ UK, you want to start with washing the surface, and then after that you're going to decontaminate it, and then polish it, and then it's very crucial to also, when I say polish, I mean with an abrasive polish to mechanically completely clean the surface and remove any defects that you don't want on there. And then after that, it's very important to follow up with your panel wipe step. So it's wash, decontaminate, polish or compounded polish, and then panel wipe. And so we did that. We already cleaned the vehicle. We polished it with the machine. We panel wiped it with CARPRO eraser. And then in a few minutes here, we're going to go ahead and do a demo for you on how to apply CQUARTZ SiC. So when you receive your bottle of CQUARTZ SiC from us, that's either going to come in a 30 ml, a 50 ml, or a 100 ml bottle. And the first thing you'll notice, or whether it's there or not, you should find a sticker that says, "Warning, contents under pressure, do not shake, open slowly, aim away from face." This is important because of the chemical makeup of the bottle. It can become pressurized, and if you open that up, it could spray in your face. So you want to make sure you point it away from your face, and always wear gloves, with any kind of chemical, and don't shake it up. What we do like to do is, we've already opened this one and used it a little, so there's no seal on it, but normally you'll have a plastic seal here. Peel the seal off. Before shaking it, you just open it up, you point it away like that so it's not pointing towards your face or anybody else. Open it up, and then after you've let any pressure out, go ahead and close it. Back up, just give it a little stir, don't really shake it. Just give it a little stir like that, and then open it again, pointing it away from your face, like that, and then you have your bottle. So as far as what comes in the box, you have your bottle of CQUARTZ SiC, 5 suede applicators, a CARPRO applicator block, and an instruction manual. We recommend that you look at the instructions on our website. They're always up to date, and don't suffer from something that's printed and can't be updated and can't be as thorough as what we keep on our Sky's the Limit website. So with the applicator, you'll find a slot right there in it, and personally, I like to just fold the suede over the applicator. It's the gray side of the applicator that you're going to want to fold it over, and I just hold it here with my hand. But the reason for those slots is you can take a little credit card or hard card and just press that in. If you're going to be keeping that applicator on there for a long time, you can press that in, and then you don't have to hold it with your fingers. So it's a fancy little thing. I don't find that I need it, but a lot of people really love that functionality. So once you have your your applicator flattened against the gray side, you take your bottle. We're going to go ahead and move this stuff out of the way. This towel right here does not come with the kit, but it is one of our 2 most preferred towels for wiping the coating back off once it's flashed. So as far as application goes, we're going to apply a line of product to the applicator, and then you can do a crosshatch pattern, or you can do a circular pattern. They usually recommend a crosshatch pattern, but it's really not that important as long as you keep the applicator clean and make sure you get it from a variety of angles. You don't want to just wipe it in one direction and call it a day. You have pores in your paint that are going from all different directions, if you were to look at it on a microscope, and you just kind of want to make sure you kind of get it from every angle like that, either back and forth like that or circular like this. Pressure is a very important tip to focus on. If you start pressing too hard on this side of the applicator and not as hard on this, then you end up uneven. You end up with thicker portions of product on the panel, and that can lead to them flashing unevenly. So if you have, if you go to apply it and your pressure, if you don't just keep it flat and even, then if you end up with a thicker spot, then when we use the word flash, we mean how fast the carrier evaporates off the paint, and that has an effect on when it is the best time to wipe the product off. So if some places it flashes off faster or slower than others, then it's not, it's not going to be as conducive to a great application. In the case of CQUARTZ, both SiC and UK, they're pretty user-friendly, so that's not a huge thing. But obviously, you want to know how to get to your optimal results and make it easier on yourself. So within reason, you're not going to have an issue, but it's always good to know how to apply it best. Things to look out for. This isn't a real good example of it because these curves are pretty simple, but if you have a real tight curve in a panel, and especially like if you were to have like a little, like a lip here where something went way down in, or around a badge where you can't really wipe off as easily, when you go to wipe off the coating, an issue that people have is that they might miss a spot, especially in areas like that around a badge or around somewhere where you slide your wipe off towel and it goes over an area without getting down into it, and then you leave a little bit of that coating there, and then 20 minutes pass, an hour passes, whatever passes, maybe you don't notice it until you're all done with the car days later. Then you see this little shiny, looks like a rainbow on your paint, or a darker spot, and that's what we call a high spot. So you want to watch out for, you want to avoid having high spots, and the way you do that is just be cognizant of the fact that you have to wipe every square inch that you applied it to, and so you want to make sure that you take your finger and get into those tight little areas, or you will use whatever tool you need to make sure that you wipe the coating back off of wherever you put it into. And then number two, having the right lighting. You want really good ambient lighting. You don't want like a focused point light. So if you're using, doing paint correction with a machine, you're trying to remove swirls, or you're trying to identify swirls and defects, then you need a point light. For ceramic coating, you need the exact opposite. You want really bright. Like imagine the sun is out, all blue skies, and there's just one cloud over the sun. It's still bright everywhere, but you don't have a bright light that's blinding the high spots from you. And then the next tip I would give you in looking for high spots after you've wiped off a panel is to look at it from a couple angles, like get down like this and look at it from a couple angles and follow, just look everywhere and make sure there's no inconsistency. Make sure everything looks the same, because if you see a little darker spot or a little rainbow, you'll usually find it when your head's kind of on the move like that. How to fix a high spot. So if you do miss a little spot on your paint and you end up with too much coating in an area that you didn't wipe off, you don't find it till it's too late, there's a couple things to do. If you find it relatively soon, like if it's in the first 20, 30, 40 minutes, then you can probably just reapply, take a little CQUARTZ SiC, put it on your applicator and just reapply over that same area, and then just immediately wipe it back off, and that might just pull it right off. But eventually you're going to get to a point where that won't work anymore, where it's going to be too hard, and reapplying a little more product is not going to pull it off anymore. It's past the gel phase and it's turned into a solid. So at that point, you're better off just leaving it until the coating is cured. It could be 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever, as much time as you can wait, the better, and up to a few days. And then, but at least 24 hours. And then come back and just take a little bit of finishing polish, like CARPRO Reflect, and just put a little dot of that on either a gloss pad or even by hand. Just take a little dot of that, put it on your microfiber towel, and then just rub just that little spot, and you should be able to get it off. You should be able to polish that off by hand. And then you'll come back, you'll wipe it with the eraser, that one, that spot, and then start all over. You're just going to apply just that one area to fix it. So you'll apply some product the same way we're going to do it initially, but you're just going to apply it to an area. Say your little high spot was this big and you polished it off, then you're going to apply the product to an area about that big, about 6 inches in radius out from the circle that you were patching, and then just slowly remove a little bit of it from the exterior every 30 to 45 seconds. Just wipe a little more off, wipe a little more off, wipe a little more off until you get all the way back into that small area. And that way you can just kind of feather it in, and it'll just it'll fix that spot that you had to polish. If you don't do that right, then worst case scenario, you would have to do the entire panel, give it a light polish and then recoat from scratch. But if you do that feathering trick right, then it'll come out great like that. So when we go to apply the CQUARTZ SiC, the first thing we want to do is get a nice even bead all the way down there. If we put too little on, then it's not going to slide enough, and if we put too much on, then obviously it could be a bit of a waste. But as you can see, I've got a nice even bead there, and then I'm just going to spread it on side to side like this. And if it starts to grab, or you can see that it's not leaving any even distribution of product on the paint anymore, then you just add more product as you go. And then you're going to cross hatch it like this. Now I've got a little more product than I need, just because I was showing for demonstration purposes. I was adding more to it to show you, but I could really spread that out a lot further. So I'm just going to go ahead and spread that out over here. Usually, especially when you're first starting out, you might want to start with a smaller section. Once you get this even, got nice even pressure here, so once I've got that even, I don't want to touch that anymore now. I want to let that do its thing. I'm going to even this side out, before it sits here for too long. So we've just applied CQUARTZ SiC to this hood, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how long you wait to wipe off and some of the precautions and different things that you can do for best use. So as far as how long you want to leave it on the paint, that depends on the humidity, the temperature, the surface temperature of the panel, and air movement has a great deal to do with it, as well as how thick you applied it. Generally with CQUARTZ SiC, we're seeing around 7 minutes, but again, it's going to depend on all those things. So the first time that you apply it, you want to find out what works best for you. So one thing that will give you an idea that it's ready to wipe off is you'll notice that right here where it starts beading up or spreading out a little bit, that means that that area, number one, I probably applied it a little bit thicker, but it's also ready to wipe off right there. In this area over here, where I applied it very consistently, if you look real close up, you can see a little bit of that, but over here it looks a lot drier than it did when I first applied it, and that is a very huge telltale sign that it's ready to wipe off. When you initially apply it, it's going to look darker and look wet, and then it's going to instantly start evaporating and getting drier. And after a period of time, it's going to be very dry. And so you want to wipe it off before it becomes completely, you want to wipe it off before it becomes difficult to wipe off, but you want to leave it on long enough to where it bonds. And the way you can do that is first by getting to know the product. So the first time that you use it, you want to just do one small section and get to know it. Wait a couple minutes, wipe a little section, wait a couple more minutes, wipe a little section, and get a feel for how it acts. If you get to a point where it's hard to wipe off, or you're leaving stuff that's becoming difficult to wipe off, then you know that's too long. And then from there on, it's easy. You fix that spot, apply a little more product, fix that spot, and from then on, you know, hey, I've got 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6, 7, 8 minutes. There's a pretty good window with CQUARTZ SiC, so it's not something that you'll probably run into. We've probably had this sitting here for 10 minutes, and I'm still not afraid that this is going to come off, but I'm definitely getting to the point in our climate where that could be a problem. So to wipe it off, you want to fold your towel 2 times. We usually use either a CARPRO 2-phase towel or a Microfiber Madness Slogger towel. And so you take that, and we like to start with this side, and then we'll end up wiping with that side too. But take this side, keep track of which side's which, and flat, even, and then you just go back and forth like that, nice even pressure. And you're going to use this side to get the majority off of this panel. And notice, I'll show you better over here on this side. Notice when I come over this edge here, I'm making sure that I have part of my hand there and part of my hand over here so that I'm getting all the way over that edge on both sides, so I'm not pressing all here and then leaving some product there. And you can do it circular too. That's not a problem as long as you're using good microfiber towel. It's going to grab it really well either way, but sometimes it works a little bit better in certain areas to just go circular like that. And it comes off easy. It's not like an old school wax that's like concrete to remove. It should come off nice and clean. And as it comes off, if it's ready to remove, it should feel very slick as you're wiping it off. So the paint should feel slick. Even with the towel, you'll just start feeling it slide really easily. So there we've got the majority of the product off of there. I can't really see anything on there, but to be safe, I like to come over, and this is the side we just used. We're not going to use that side anymore unless we had a larger panel. Now we're going to switch to this side, which has not been used, and we're just going to give it one more light wipe, and that way we're not reintroducing any product or any oiliness to the panel. So just go over it. This time we're just making sure, just in case we missed a spot, we're just going over it one more time. And now we feel good about it. Now we're able to move on. So this side of the towel we're not going to use again, but this side of the towel we're going to use again on the next panel. So you just want to kind of imagine that this has product. You can't really see it, but this has a lot more product kind of built up into the towel. And so this side's done. It's not going to get used again. This side has none to very, very little, if there was anything left on it, on this side. So now when we do the next panel, we're going to start with this side, and then we're going to flip like this. And now we know these two sides on the inside are gone. We're not going to use those again. That's important. That helps make sure that you have a successful installation and you don't reintroduce stuff. So then you would use this one, and then like so throughout, all the way across the car. So final tips that we might not have already gone over. You want to apply the product outside of the direct sun in a controlled environment preferably, but certainly not in direct sun and not on a hot surface. And number 2, you want a well-ventilated area for your own health. Number 3, when you're applying, you do not want to start in the middle of a panel and then move on to a different panel and leave half of the panel done and half not done. Otherwise, you could end up with a overlap line by the time you get all the way around the vehicle. So once you start a panel, complete the entire panel, and then move on to the next panel. I think that pretty much sums it up for the day. I want to thank you guys for watching the video, and be sure to subscribe. If you are ready to purchase, you can find the links to the product and anything else you need below. And if you have more questions, be sure to shoot us an email, give us a call, or check out the extended tips in our product description for more information on how to use the product. Thanks a lot. Take care.